My next source tonight is the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Adam Smith of Washington. And thank you, sir, for being here. What's your sense about these new reports that Israel told the U.S. that there is a new Iranian plot to try to kill the president?
Well, it's very hard to tell. I mean, certainly Iran has made the statement, as your guest said, since the killing of Soleimani, over 6 years ago now. It's also easy to see that Israel would want to sort of buck up Trump, make him more willing to take on Iran more strongly. Netanyahu has been, pushing for that tougher stance, a more hawkish approach to Iran for quite some time. Now, crucially, without any clear plan for how that's going to turn into some sort of success in terms of fundamentally breaking the Iranian regime. But Israel certainly has that interest. So it's hard to know. It's hard to know exactly what that intel is. I mean, the bigger problem, as you've pointed out, the ceasefire has broken down. We don't seem to have a plan going forward for how to achieve our objectives or even to stop the conflict.
3 weeks ago, a little more than that, when the president signed that memorandum of understanding, is it surprising to you that this is where the United States and Iran are tonight?
Well, it's not surprising because there just hasn't been, I think, a sufficient focus on diplomacy. And I agree with Brian Kilmeade, the Fox News guy who you quoted. I mean, putting Witkoff and Kushner on this, as well as they're on a half dozen other things where they don't have any experience, instead of using the State Department. I mean, the Trump administration hasn't really taken the diplomacy piece of this as seriously as they need to. And these are incredibly complicated negotiations. I mean, before you even get to the nuclear stuff, Iran has a different vision of what opening up the Strait of Hormuz is than we do. Our vision is exactly like it was before the war started. Their vision is it's open, but we control it. That's a very different thing. You need very talented negotiators. So no, I don't think the Trump administration has done the work on diplomacy any more than they did the work to know that this war wasn't going to lead to the result that they wanted, even though that was something a lot of experts told them.
Do you think Trump should listen to Brian Kilmeade when he was basically suggesting that Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff should not be leading these negotiations?
Oh, God, yes. Okay, I think that's like blindingly obvious. It doesn't take Brian Kilmeade to figure that out. Let's have experienced diplomats. We have experienced diplomats, Middle East experience, nuclear experience, Iran experience. The State Department is an incredibly capable operation. And Republicans, use the people with the experience to really do the diplomacy, not two guys who are cutting real estate deals in New York. So yeah, I don't think it's blindingly obvious that we should have different people leading this negotiation.
We didn't hear from the president today. He was behind closed doors. He just posted tonight only once. But on Iran, I mean, obviously he did have a call with the prime minister of Israel behind closed doors. The major activity at the White House, at least in front of the cameras, seem to be the renovations that are now underway on those columns on the North Portico. And Doug Burgum said that it was personally instructed by President Trump to do that. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I'm not really focused on the renovation issues. Much more focused on the diplomacy, the war in Iran.
Do you think the president is too focused on that?
Yes, I think that, and that's an understatement. He seems obsessed with remaking everything, from the White House to the reflecting pool to his new arch to the Kennedy Center. Look, this is not what a democratically elected president in a representative democracy should be focused on. This is much more what an authoritarian dictator would be focused on, how to basically build up his own personal ego and put his stamp on everything. President Trump and this administration needs to get back to the business of dealing with the issues that American people care about. The cost of housing, the cost of food, the cost of gas, all of these things that are healthcare, energy, all of these things are where our focus should be. The president has sitting on his desk a housing bill that is bipartisan, bicameral, that could really help reduce the cost of housing. He's not signing it. He's not dealing with it. So yes, he needs to get off of the renovation and focus on the very real problems that people in this country are facing and that he was elected to deal with.
Congressman Adam Smith, thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, Kaitlan.